Hi everyone, this is Clare Norman, Professional Certified Coach with the International Coach Federation. Here today with Alistair, who has agreed to be recorded in a coaching conversation. Thank you, Alistair. And we do so that you can get a feel for what coaching sounds and feels like, particularly with me. If you're interested in exploring coaching with me, then I'll give you details of how to do that at the end of this session. But while you're listening, I'm going to encourage you to think about, what are you noticing? What is surprising you? And what are you wondering? And this is particularly about what are you noticing about me and how I'm going about coaching Alistair. So, Alistair, over to you. What would you like to use
Good morning
for?
Well, I have a tricky little situation, for me anyway, that I find a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And that is that I am currently writing up a dissertation.
Yeah.
And it's around the subject of coaching. But what I'm finding, and I found this consistently when I'm having to think about essays, that I find it very difficult to translate what's happening inside my head, which seems very clear, to writing it down, and suddenly it doesn't feel very clear. And I would love some time just to think through that, because it's happened a few times, and it frustrates me. And it frustrates me because I've got a voice in my head that constantly says, be concise and be clear so that people can understand. And as I'm writing, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not clear and I'm not concise. And you get that kind of flapsy-hapsy thing that happens in your head. And then I stop enjoying it. Flapsy-hapsy.
Oh, that's a new word. So in the 30 minutes we have together, where would you like to get to with this?
Well, I'm not expecting in 30 minutes that we're suddenly going to turn me into a groundbreaking novelist. So that's okay. But if I was able to have thought around the issues and maybe come up with 2 or 3 things that I could put into practice to try, then I'd be more than happy.
Okay.
I feel something needs to shift.
So 2 or 3 new things to put into practice to just try out. And so how will we know that we have got those things for you to practice?
Well, we've already got a number, so that's good. 2 or 3. I don't want to, if I thought of 10, I won't do it.
Yeah.
They would be 2 or 3, they'd be simple. And I would feel confident that I can put them into practice.
Okay. And how do you normally sense that confidence level?
A sense of excitement. That, oh, yeah, well, this is good. Yes, I know that I can, that feels right. Yes, I can do that.
Great.
Oh, good. Yes, it's true and it's honest.
Right. So when you get that sense of excitement, you'll know that you've hit on one thing that you could do, and we'll be aiming for. Lovely.
Even if it's an aha, an insight, I'd be as excited by that. So I'm not fixated that I have to have, right, on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, oh, we'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
An insight would be great, which would mean that I have discovered something about, interestingly, as we're talking, the difference between communicating via PowerPoint and communicating via an essay.
Ah, okay.
But,
All right, so maybe something more around that.
yeah.
So
I'm already trying to solve. I've jumped into the solution already.
Yeah, whoa there. How shall we do this work together today?
I would love to be in a position where I'd love you to take charge of the holding it for me, if you could, by which I mean some bloody good questions, so I don't have to try and solve myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do the thinking and I want to explore, but I'd love to be in a position where I'm pushed and probed to think rather than have to think and analyze what the question is that I should be asking myself.
Okay.
So some damn good questions.
And you know what? If you come
No pressure.
with your own damn good question, then we'll go with that.
Exactly.
Because you almost certainly will figure out some of your own questions as well. All right. So yes, you can hold me to that. Can I also ask your permission to interrupt if it feels like it might be useful?
Oh, please do.
All right.
Once we get into, I'll probably be having that voice in my head that's telling me to shut up anyway. So
okay.
I won't. That's fine if I go off on a ramble.
Well, let's practice you being concise and clear today, then, maybe.
Well, it's the ramble is what's going on inside my head as I'm weighing up. Goodness knows how many different options and thoughts.
Right.
So,
okay.
Welcome to my world.
We need to untangle the ramble then.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So where should we start with untangling it?
Well, as I was thinking about this, I quite recently, when I was preparing for this dissertation, I was asked to pull together a short presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be 10 to 15 minutes of me presenting and then 10 to 15 minutes of questions, peer questions. And I discovered that when doing the preparation for the presentation, one, I was very comfortable and confident because for the last 30 years of being in business, that has been my main communication method. And I had become pretty adept at constructing presentations that were influential and short and sharp and to the point. So I was intrigued then why I could do that on a presentation and yet sat with a blank sheet and a structure of a dissertation. And I'm now putting together paragraphs of an argument, whereas on a presentation, I've got main bullet points of an argument and I'm free to talk, engage an audience, gauge an audience and see where they're going and do what I have trained myself to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yet doing that in words and writing it down, the complete opposite emotions start to come up.
So what can you learn from that?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's blindingly obvious that having a clear structure and some key questions and making the story flow before going anywhere near to putting pen to paper or computer to slide, and almost storyboarding so that you're doing it at a high level, worked very well on a PowerPoint. Worked very, very well.
And what can you translate?
And well, it's yes. For each slide, yeah, right. Maybe it's not going to take 30 minutes.
Who knows?
For each slide, there was a methodology that I learnt, which was your main point is said in 10 words or less. And that would normally sit in the headline. Then there would be if there were one or two points that could bring alive that main message, so essentially construct your argument. And on a PowerPoint, that would be done visually. So not asking the people that you're presenting to have to do too much analysis and analytical work, but bring that main point alive through an analogy or a picture or a story, some way of bringing it alive. Now, the transfer of that, if I'm thinking about it, would be that if I've got each main point in a dissertation would have a certain word count, so each section would have a word count, same as each section would have a slide.
Yeah.
And that for that section, the main point and how it would be brought alive, which would be the argument with three points each time. Because threes work in presentations.
And does 3 work in a dissertation?
I have absolutely no idea, but if it works for influencing people generally, then it's worth a bash. And the 3 points could be, if you're building an argument, one person says this, one person says that, which is against it, and what do you think? Which could construct a paragraph. So there is a structure emerging, which I'm quite excited about.
Oh, we're liking excitement.
Yeah. So the challenge still remains. I love my learning style, and the way that I look at the world is visually.
Yeah.
And my belief is that a dissertation or a paper that you're writing is words and verbal, not visual. So I'm still struggling with the idea of having to
What's come up for you?
I've always done science and engineering stuff all the way through school and university, and always shied away from lengthy written. So I actually think that I have a bit of well, one, there is certainly a belief that is sitting there.
Yep.
Very clearly. One that with science and maths and PowerPoint, not so much, but it's cleaner, and I don't have to use construct, argument, sentences, paragraphs, sections.
So
I think it's the size of it that's quite daunting.
Oh, okay.
If I break it down into sections, then that forces a discipline, like a slide. I couldn't fill a slide full of words. Got to fill a slide full of points that can be brought alive. So if I transfer it, then having the discipline and the structure, so I could take the idea of the structure deeper and even construct within the section, keep breaking it down so that for each paragraph I could be having a main point and a couple of points and a summary for each. Each paragraph is like a slide. So if I thought of each paragraph like a slide, would that help?
What do you think?
It seems to help bring the size of the challenge. It compartmentalizes and it puts a discipline around. And I know that when I've been able to compartmentalize and put some discipline around the flapsy hapsy that is my brain, then that helps. And then it's brought, in my mind, it's brought the issue down to, it's made the issue smaller, so it's not quite as overwhelming. We're down almost now to how to construct a paragraph rather than a slide.
Yeah. And can I pick up on this belief that you have that a dissertation cannot be visual, it has to be words? I'm wondering, how true is that?
Well, I have yet to see a dissertation or a research paper that has been constructed visually rather than primarily words and paragraphs. Now, that doesn't mean that just because it hasn't, it can't. But it does give me a pretty good idea that I might be facing some challenges, because I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world that has come up against this. And we are talking about academia rather than business, and they do seem to like certain written structures.
Yeah. So what have you seen in dissertations that is even partially visual that might...
Yeah, I've seen a few. Yeah, I've seen a few partially that have used a diagram several diagrams that starts to build over the sections.
Mm-hmm.
So it's used almost as the anchor. That's quite an interesting. That would certainly help me.
Yeah.
If there were other people that were like me, I have a visual, and then I can keep coming back to that visual when I'm constructing the sections or paragraphs. I think what I've done in the past is I've just piled in to writing. And what's really coming out here is that actually breaking it down and treating it as if it were a PowerPoint, so that the story flows across, and that each section or paragraph is just embellishing that point, same as I would do with a PowerPoint. That makes a lot of sense to me. It then needs oh, I'm laughing because what it needs is a bit more, it's almost daft. It just needs more structure.
Yeah.
And whenever I put structure in place, it helps. Funny. And when I don't, I get flapsy-hapsy. So there we are.
Yeah. And structure is a word that does keep coming up for you.
Yeah, and I hate it, which is why I laugh. So my issue is with structure. I like it to be free, but I know, and I've learned in my business life, that even though I say that I don't like structure, structure is an enabling thing that I've had to learn to love and to use as a tool, not as a constraint. So maybe on my belief, thinking of using the structure and the discipline as a tool that will help me rather than than control or constrict me.
And what needs to shift in order for you to believe that it's a tool rather than a constraint?
That I'm not wasting valuable time doing that when I know that I've got a deadline coming up. And that I should be hitting a word count and getting on with words rather than structuring, and that by structuring, the words will flow more easily.
And is that true, that by having a structure, the words will flow more easily?
Don't know. That's what I'm banking this on. It's worth the bash, though, isn't it?
Well, and I've heard
it seems like it to me.
I've heard you say that that is what happens when you're writing PowerPoints.
Exactly. That's why it's worth the bash, isn't it? I was thinking, if I'm under pressure and I've got a presentation to do, then the structure is the fast way of being able to get to what I'm trying to communicate.
Right.
What I don't then have to do is to write a whole lot of paragraphs. I've just got the main points and a way of bringing alive those points, and I can just be free within some constraints. And writing just feels like I'm not free.
Right. But it sounds like the structure will give you enough freedom Is that what you're thinking?
To make that's what I'm thinking, yeah. It'll give me more freedom so that it makes it less. Give me more freedom, full stop. That's worth trying. It's got to be worth trying.
So, Alistair, we have 6 minutes.
It feels right.
What would be useful in those 6 minutes?
To a quick summarising, because I've been free flowing, so just what I want to capture, just some of the things down. That's what would be helpful. So, structure is a tool. And the PowerPoint discipline of the story and the main points for each slide. And that the story flows across the slides. Okay, so if that is there, then I can draw that across, that the story flows across. Essentially, it's just repeating for each section and paragraph. Okay. The structure is a tool that you can speed up because I'm then clear. Once I'm clear, I'm all right.
So you said at the beginning that you wanted 2 or 3 things to put into practice to try and or to have some insight. So where are you?
Do you know what's really annoying?
What?
I knew all of this.
Of course you did.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's damn annoying. That's why it's annoying. I knew it, but I hadn't. What's lovely is being able to have the space just to be able to work it through and to be able to verbalize it, and verbalizing it and playing with it rather than just, I know it, but I haven't. It's kind of helped me to accept it and know it at an experiential level rather than just intellectual.
Yeah, great.
So that's good.
And so thinking about your confidence levels and your excitement for putting this into practice, where's that now?
It is what all the best things are the simple things, aren't they? And this is blindingly obviously simple. So therefore it is my truth, and therefore it will happen, and therefore I'm excited about it. So time extremely well spent.
Do we need to pin you down to any specific timings or actions?
Well, it's this afternoon, so it's easy. That's what I'm doing this week.
Great. Oh, this is perfect timing for you then.
Exactly. I'll phone you up and tell you this afternoon whether it's helping or not.
Yeah, brilliant.
No, great. Thank you. That's extremely helpful.
You're welcome. So what have you learned about yourself here that you can apply in other situations?
Oh, big question. Well, the first is that when I get something that is floating around in my head and I've got flapsy-hapsy, to not necessarily feel I have to solve it myself, but actually talking to somebody, preferably somebody who can be a thinking partner rather than just sympathizing, helps. So that's first. It doesn't have to be mind-blowingly difficult. What I've also learnt and know about myself is that in a situation like this, I do need structure.
Mm-hmm.
I rebel against it because I have some. Maybe that's a separate coaching session. My
Yeah.
issue with authority, but I think that's quite deep. That might need longer than half an hour.
Yeah.
And structure is authority and control.
Mm.
But it does help me
Yeah.
enormously. So make friends with it and use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So is that a good place for us to end?
I think so, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you. So
I'll get cracking.
let me simply say to those people who are listening that if this method of coaching has intrigued you and you'd like to find out more, then please do come and talk to me at claire@clarenormancoachingassociates.com or give me a call. You'll also find lots of videos about coaching on my YouTube channel. So thank you, Alistair. I am going to
Thank you, Claire.
stop the recording now.